Welcome to the new book releases for the week of April the 7th. Our second week of April gives us some interesting conclusions, while the list is overall smaller than last week's though. There will be timestamps per genre as per usual, and you can click to whichever is your favorite. I'm Morgan. If this is your first time here, I hope you find something that you want to pick up. This week we shall start off with sci-fi, and our first book up is a sci-horror thriller type. That would be Cold Eternity by S.A. Barnes. Haley is on the run from an interplanetary political scandal that has put a huge target on her back. She heads for what seems like the perfect place to lay low, a gigantic space barge storing the cryogenically frozen bodies of Earth's most fortunate citizens from more than a century ago. The cryo program, created by trillionaire tech genius Zale Winfield, is long defunct, and the AI hologram hosts, ghoulishly created in the likeness of Winfield's 3 adult children, are glitchy. The ship feels like a crypt, and the isolation gets to Haley almost immediately. She starts to see figures crawling in the hallways, and there's a constant scraping, slithering, and rattling echoes in the vents. I would like to get to that one, because it sounds interesting, and then based off her other novel I read, Dead Silence, or Dead Space? No, Dead Silence, yes. And it wasn't what you thought it was, and it was still highly creepy. So I would really like to try to get to that one in the relatively soonish future. Our next sci-fi up is also a bit genre blending with romance-ish, heistish things. That would be the conclusion to the Chaotic Orbits novella trilogy, Last Chance to Save the World by Beth Revis. I do believe each of the books is only under 200 pages. Well, novellas, you know. From the first book, Full Speed to a Crash Landing, Ada Lamar may have gotten to the spaceship wreck first, but looters' rights won't get her far when she's got a hole in the side of her ship and her spacecraft is almost out of air. Fortunately for her, help arrives in the form of a government salvage crew, and while they reluctantly rescue her from certain death, they are not pleased to have an unexpected passenger along on their classified mission. But Ada doesn't care. All that matters is her enjoying their fine food and sweet, sweet oxygen, until Ryan White, the government agent in charge, starts to suspect that there's more to Ada than meets the eye. And he's not wrong. Through the series, they continue to run into each other on different jobs, and it sounds very humorous because it's also classified as like humorous sci-fi too. Moving along into fantasy comes our other trilogy conclusion, The Book That Held Her Heart by Mark Lawrence. Two people once connected by a vast and mysterious library are now separated and must overcome time and distance to reunite and bring peace to their worlds in the final book of the library trilogy. These are two people that should have never met and were unknown to the world, but now everything in the world kind of rests on them. The boy in a book-choked library as big as cities, and the girl from a tiny village out in the desert. And somehow their stories intercede and become connected. I'm starting the first book very soon, so I'm excited to get to the whole trilogy. Hopefully. We hope that we like the first book enough to want to get to the whole trilogy. In my mind right now, I do. Continuing on a series is the fifth book in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. The Butcher's Masquerade by Matt Dinneman is getting its trad publishing this week, and with the trad hardback, you're also getting bonus material that has not been included before. It says, Carl and Princess Donut refuse to be prey in the fifth book of the best-selling Dungeon Crawler Carl series with additional material. I did not want to read more of the description because I don't want spoilers. The series itself is about Carl, a Coast Guard vet who, when the world ends, enters the world dungeon that is created by the aliens who have now come to our planet and said that we didn't fill out the proper paperwork, so now our planet belongs to them for them to get the materials from it. But we have the chance to win it back if somebody from our planet survives all 18 levels of the dungeon, which they will broadcast to the entire universe for entertainment. And so it's a big game show, and they pull the crawlers out of the dungeon at points to go on talk shows as well. Oh my goodness, I enjoyed the first book so much. And Princess Donut is his ex-girlfriend's Persian show cat, who through a turn of events now can talk. And she is great. She is just great. We move into romantasy next, with the first ones being more new adult romantasy. That would be the conclusion to the Powerless trilogy. Yeah, Powerless trilogy, Fearless by Lauren Roberts. From the first book, only the extraordinary belong to the kingdom of Ela, the exceptional, the empowered, the elites. I don't know if I said the kingdom name right. The powers these elites have possessed for decades were graciously gifted to them by the plague, though not all were fortunate enough to both survive the sickness and reap the reward. Those born ordinary are just that, ordinary, and when the king decreed that all ordinaries be banished in order to preserve his elite society, lacking in ability suddenly became a crime, making Peyton Gray a felon by fate and a thief by necessity. Surviving in the slums as an ordinary is no simple task, and Peyton knows this better than most. Having been trained by her father to be overly observant since she was a child, Peyton poses as a psychic in the crowded city, blending in with the elites as best she can in order to stay alive and out of trouble. Easier said than done. Reading that, though, it just makes me think of the show Psych. I mean, I know it's totally different because this is romantasy, something about trials. And is there a prince? I haven't read this series, but I know so many people are looking forward to it. People love this. I think it was a book talk sensation. It is listed as YA, but I'm going to consider it new adult. Yes. Another new adult would be the fifth book? Yes, fifth book in the Bridge Kingdom series. That's The Twisted Throne by Danielle L. Jensen. I do not know how this one ties into the other ones of the series because I think that it is different people. So I don't know if I should read you the description of this one or not. Because the first book is following a warrior princess, Laura, who's driven by two certainties. The first is that the king of Arin of the Bridge Kingdom is her enemy, and the second is that she'll be the one to bring him to his knees. The Twisted Throne follows a commander who bled to defend her people. Anna is haunted by two beliefs. Two beliefs again. The first is that she failed to protect Ithacanna from invasion, and the second is that saving her homeland means leaving it behind forever. See, is that a spoiler? I don't know, and I feel like I might not should say that, but I'll give you at least that much because it also sounds so very different from the first one. Moving into the more adult side of romantasy, we're going to start with Firebird by Juliet Cross. A conqueror captivated, a witch prophesies to save them all, a world where dragons rule Rome. From the moment Roman general and nephew to the emperor Julianus Dica laid eyes on Melina, he was enthralled by the Dacian dancer. Years later, the fierce beauty stands before him on a scarred battlefield, her life in danger. He instinctively shifts into his fierce dragon form to save her, an action that may mean his head on the imperial gate. But he and his dragon know one thing: she belongs to them. And I do believe this is going to be a dual perspective, though, because there was another paragraph talking about her and alternate history timelines, and we are taking place in the past, as far as I can tell. Then we have the second book in the Wicked Games quartet. It's still not called a quartet. What is the actual word? The book, though, is Enchantra by Kylie Smith. Welcome to Enchantra. There's only one rule: never ever trust your heart. When Genevieve Grimm's mother dies, she's left with questions no one can answer until she receives an invitation to Enchantra, a cursed palace in Italy, frozen in time and shrouded in strange fruit. So when the hostile and sinfully handsome Rowan Silver refuses to let her inside, Genevieve finds her own way in, only to realize her mistake. The first book is following her older sister in the Phantasma, which is a competition run by devils. This is also a bit historical because it takes place somewhere in the early 1900s, like 1920s or 30s maybe, and magical realism as both sisters have gifts. For fiction this week, we have The Griffin Sisters' Greatest Hits by Jennifer Weiner. Cassie and Zoe Grossberg were thrust into the spotlight as the Griffin Sisters, a pop duo that defined the aughts. Together, they skyrocketed to the top, gracing MTV, SNL, and the cover of Rolling Stone. Cassie, a musical genius who never felt at ease in her own skin, preferred to stay in the shadows. Zoe, full of confidence and craving fame, lived for the stage. But fame has a price, and after one turbulent year, the band abruptly broke up. Now, 2 decades later, the sisters couldn't be further apart. So this one looks at stardom's effect, family bonds, sisterly bonds, growing apart, And obviously we'll have either a dual timeline or just a big time skip after the initial younger days. We end the week on a horror, and I'm just going to apologize to the author's name right now because I am going to mispronounce it. Their Monstrous Hearts by Yigit Turan. A mysterious stranger shows up at Ricardo's apartment with some news. His grandmother Paran has died, and Ricardo has inherited her villa in Milan along with her famed butterfly collection. The struggling writer is out of options. He's hoping the change of scenery in Milan will inspire him, and maybe there will be some money to keep him afloat. But Paran's house isn't as opulent as he remembers. The butterflies pinned in their glass cases seem more ominous than artful. Paran's group of mysterious old friends is constantly lurking, and there's something wrong in the greenhouse. Very interesting sounding with the vibes and the things of that one. Those are all the books on my list for this week. Maybe you were able to find a new title that you want to pick up or a series that's concluding or continuing that you need to grab. If you know of any other books coming out this week, though, feel free to leave them in the comments down below for all of us to find out about. As always, I hope you're having a great day, finding something good to read, and I'll see you in the next one.